Hello, everyone. We'll be getting started in a few seconds. We'll be getting started in 1 minute. We'll just get the slideshow one more time to go through. Hello, Colby Cheese. Thank you for joining us.
It's good to have the cheesy man here.
We all love cheese.
I do. I'm a big fan of cheese.
All right. So thank you everyone for joining us today for our first in our virtual series leading up to Leather Leadership 2025. Master PlaineJane, why don't you take it away as our chair?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dominion. So glad to be here with you all today. Just give it a moment for us to bring up the slideshow.
I'm ready when you are.
Thank you so much. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So, hi everyone. I'm Jane, or Master PlaineJane on FetLife, and I have been in the BDSM and leather community for almost 17 years. My pronouns are she, her, and I identify as a leather master, queen, or if you prefer something a little less formal, goddess. I recently relocated to sunny San Diego from swampy Atlanta, Georgia, and have been enjoying the sunshine ever since. Next slide, please. I am currently the chair of the LLC Board of Directors, that is the Leather Leadership Conference, which is hosting this very virtual series today and is relocating our conference to Los Angeles, California in March 2025, where we will be leveling up in our education offering as well as serving a wider community. I also lead two groups focused on women in power dynamics, including FLAIR, Female Led Authority Inspired Relationships, and MAST, Marietta Women, which is one of only two MAST chapters internationally that's focused on women-led dynamics. So if you want to know anything about these organizations, holla at your girl. Next slide, please. So thank you all for joining me on this lovely afternoon, Sunday afternoon. As I mentioned, I am in service to multiple groups. I'm also polyamorous. I have different authority exchange dynamics, as well as a full-time job, and I'm a parent. And I have a very jam-packed teaching schedule. So as you can imagine, I stay incredibly busy and am often asking myself, what the actual blank was I thinking? And if you're like me, you enjoy not only serving within your community, but having fun in it too. So that's what we're going to discuss today is how to manage all of the wonderful, crazy little things we want to do while preventing and even surviving burnout. And I stress the survival because that is a key component to what we'll discuss today is survival and thriving and how to do it without losing your mind or the desire to serve yourself and the community. Because the truth is that I really love supporting and serving my community, like most of us do. And while there are times when I question that service, the desire remains present, although it does certainly fluctuate. And I think that's important to be aware of. Things change. So that's the first thing I want to talk to you all about today. Next slide, please. Is priorities, how they shift, change, and of course, fluctuate. People often ask me, how do I manage multiple partners, a career, being a parent, being on a leadership board, as well as finding time to teach and, well, to have fun? And that's a valid question, but the answer is key.
Master PlaineJane, just before we get started, I want to make sure that everyone knows that this is a bit new for us, and we've got the YouTube stream going. So if you've got questions, you're welcome to interchange with that, but there will be an official question and answer session. So if you have questions and answers that you want us to specifically go through, make sure you just hold those to the end. Otherwise, you're welcome to chat away. I'll try not to interrupt you again, Master PlaineJane. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you. Thanks for adding that. I'll also be making some pauses throughout the presentation so that if you have some questions, you can feel free to chime in. But as I mentioned, really, I want to talk about how these priorities fluctuate and change because, it really is about figuring out how to do it. The answer is actually easy. I'm able to do it because I want to have my cake and eat it too. I'm a greedy bitch and I'm proud of it. But that also means that it's going to require more labor, more time, more bandwidth, more passion, and more support likely. And while my desires may be infinite, the truth is my resources aren't. So I have to prioritize. And for me, prioritization really comes down to what I want most and what I can likely achieve with the amount of resources I have available to me. But my prioritization is often trying to be leveraged or manipulated in some way. You know what I'm talking about. Someone comes to you because they've forgotten about something or they need something or wasn't able to manage their own priorities and they suddenly want to leverage your relational support in some way or another to benefit their own priorities because you're the event organizer or maybe you're a friend of theirs or you're the point of contact for the event. Either way, somehow this person wants to elevate their needs on your priority list. And for me, what I've learned is that it's not actually valuable to, in fact, curse them out and tell them that their failure is not my priority. I mean, certainly would feel good, but that's really not going to gain any efforts. Slide change, please, Dominion. And if you wouldn't mind going on mute, Dominion, please. Thank you so much. So instead, what is important is to understand what your priorities are ultimately. and whether their needs impact your priorities. As group leaders or event organizers, we may not always consider what we want, so we tend to be really mindful about the organization's needs and priorities. What does the organization, need to thrive and grow? And then we tend to forget to ask ourselves, are these priorities aligned to our own? And it's absolutely okay if they're not, but it's important to understand where that alignment is or isn't, because you'll want to understand how your organization's goals and priorities impact your own. The simplest answer is that they are the same, right? That they're perfectly aligned and magical for all. And maybe they are. But for most organizations and organizers, they are not always aware of the nuances or differences in their priorities. And that can create a drain on the resources, especially if the priorities or goals aren't aligned. For example, if your organization's goals and priorities are to create safe space for all members of the community, do you want that to be your own personal goal as well? Will you be wanting or expecting to police the community or create a standard of safety for everyone? Will you be willing to action and regulate all play and parties in your community, whether private or public, and become the social governing body for all reports of injustice in your community? A noble cause indeed, but is that what you want for yourself or even for your organization? That's what we're talking about. What does it mean to align your goals, needs, and priorities? Do they represent who you are and where you want to put your energy and attention? Or are they just a reflection of what the organization needs at the moment? So I think it's important to really think about that when you're defining these priorities, not just for the organization, but for your own sanity as well. As group leaders and organizers, many of us, if not all of us, are service oriented individuals. We want to be everywhere at all times, not only to help and support, but in many places to control as well. Gasp. Control, Jane? What? I never. I know. It's hard to imagine that we event organizers may have some teeny tiny issues with control, and that's absolutely okay. And we're going to talk about that as well. But I call that out because these are things that we need to be at least consciously aware of if we're going to evaluate and understand where to put our time. Because sadly, we cannot, in fact, be everywhere and control everything, nor do we actually want to. Say it with me. We do not want to be everywhere all the time. So let's talk about how to define some of the things that come up in both personal and organizational life. Next slide, please. We've seen this before in many different forms. It's called an Eisenhower graph, or also known as an urgency graph, broken out by importance. Please note that you can update or create your chart in whichever way you want. The important thing is to evaluate what needs to be done and when. Notice that it is broken into 4 quadrants. The first quadrant represents both urgency and importance. These are your true crises and emergencies. These things typically have a deadline or are time sensitive and therefore will require your immediate attention and sometimes even action. Whereas the second quadrant are tasks that are absolutely important, but carry less urgency or time dependency, so they can be scheduled and planned out to action at a later time. What's great about these items is that you can create a plan to action or to schedule for attention at a later time, just like we're going to do right now. We're going to talk about scheduling later. But for now, the third quadrant, while does not carry as much importance, can carry urgency. These are tasks that may be extremely urgent to the organization at the time, but maybe are not super important or necessary for you yourself to execute, and therefore can be delegated. Or you have the fourth quadrant, which I feel like my work colleagues get stuck in all the time, and that's the not urgent and not important stuff. And I think we have all gotten lost in the time warp that can be TikTok or any social media platform for that matter. These things can sometimes prevent us from getting to quadrant 1 or even to quadrant 2 tasks done. They rob us of time and convince us that it'll offer us value, but we ultimately lose productivity and clarity. So let's gain and maintain our clarity and our sanity, shall we? Next slide, please. So this is a simpler and easier example that I like to use to maintain my focus on my own priorities. Because while the last chart was super fancy and very informative, it's not what I want to be whipping out when people are asking for my time. But it does provide the foundation and the context to begin shaping the priorities mindset that you may want to create for yourself. Again, you can create this in any format to align to how your brain works. This is just a couple of examples of how this works for me, how my brain works. And I got all of these charts from Internet Muggles, so you can absolutely find one that works well for yourself. Again, this is taken from that Eisenhower decision matrix, and it's been replicated and reiterated in so many different ways because it actually works. It's an effective way to manage priorities and to align schedules. And for me, I really love charts because they're a great way of visualizing the actual organization of all that minutia in my brain, really help me start to think about how I'm going to get this stuff done. In this example, the first quadrant is exactly the same, urgent and important. So I'm going to do these things first. The second quadrant, once again, the same, schedule it. These are issues that I can tackle or even plan for on another occasion, and we'll talk about that in a bit. See, I'm good at scheduling. The third quadrant is to delegate, meaning let's get this stuff off of my desk. Who can take it? Where does ability and availability share space? So let's find that happy marriage and move it to them. And lastly, don't do it. I'm not saying never, but it's not a priority and certainly doesn't need my focus or attention now. So I don't have to do it now or at all if I so choose. And a lot of times I do so choose, which is why you won't find me on a lot of social media a lot because I want to spend my time doing other things. For many of us who are busy, booked considerably, or just challenged with finding time to do things, this small little mental image can help to quickly organize in ways that save time and even effort. For example, next slide, please. Let's try a couple of these at home, shall we? So you can feel free to put your answers in chat and we'll pull some of those answers and see what you guys think is best. But let's try a couple. I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios. Tell me whether or not they would do this, schedule it, delete it, or delegate it. So the first one is a presenter forgot to register for the event you are organizing and you are 2 days out. What do you do there? Are we going to do it, schedule it, delegate it, or delete it? What do we think there?
Feel free to put your answers in the chat and we will put them up on screen.
Someone says do. Any other answers? Okay, perfect. So do. Master Cecil said call the presenter. So it sounds like this can live in the do box for sure, right? Or can this be something we delegate? Is this something I gotta do? Is this something I gotta do right now? Right? So like that's the things we can start thinking about. What about this one? A friend has reached out to you and asked, is there anything they can do to help you? What are we gonna do with that? Do, decide, delegate, delete? Someone's asking if you need help. What are we gonna do with that? Perfect. Right, do. Maybe delete it if the space is not needed. Maybe I'm going to ask them if they can help get that person registered, right? I got a presenter that needs registration, right? So I'm going to delegate that. Absolutely. How about this one? You have to get cupcakes for your kid's school thing, and it's a Halloween celebration. So you need to get the cupcakes there October 30th. What are we going to do with that? Do, schedule, delete, delegate? We need to get the cupcakes to the kids' school for Halloween. What do we do with that one? Do we need to do that now? That's right, delegate it. Absolutely. I don't need to be doing that. I can schedule that for later. Absolutely. Schedule that. Let's get that later. Does not need to be done right now. How about this? You're invited to a Tupperware party at your neighbor's cousin's church. They're not going, but wanted to share the invite with your neighborhood. What are we doing with that? Schedule that, then delete it. Somebody said send the subby hubby to grab them to deliver. I like that. Delete. Absolutely. I'm not going to no damn Tupperware party. Right? Absolutely. I'm deleting that. Or I can delegate. That's not important. That's not something I got to do right now. How about this? You're invited to an epic July 4th play party in 2025. What are we doing with that? Do it, schedule, delegate, delete. What are we doing? Epic July 4th play party in 2025. What are we going to do with that? Any ideas? Absolutely. Schedule it and then go for sure. It's epic. They're already planning for July 4th. That's going on my schedule for sure. I'm going to schedule that. I don't got to do it now, but I'm going to schedule it for sure. What about this one? Find a bottom for next week's rope class. You're the presenter. What do we need to do with that one? You need a rope bottom for a class you're teaching for next week. What do we do for that one? The class is next week. Absolutely, Master Cecil. We do that. We got to get that done. We probably are going to want to work with our bottom a couple of times before the class. So absolutely, let's get that done immediately. I need my rope bottom ASAP. How about this one? You want a free massage, but the deadline to book it is in 3 days. What are we going to do with that one? It's a free massage. Anybody want that? But you got to book it in 3 days. How are we going to handle that one? Absolutely, I'm doing that. I want that massage. Absolutely, I'm going to get that done, right? Or delegate it to someone to book it. I love that idea. What a great idea. I can absolutely delegate that. Somebody else can book that for me for sure. I don't have to do that. I love it. Or you could delete it if you don't want it, right? Absolutely. How about this one? Last one. An event attendee has a question about the venue. Do we do that? Schedule it, delegate it, or delete it? An attendee has a question about the venue. What do we do with that one? Is it urgent? That's right. Let's delegate that. Absolutely. I don't have to do that. I don't need to be the one that answers that question. Absolutely. Perfect, guys. Great job. So we can start to see how some of these things are really easily identified and prioritized, even if they're intermixed with personal or professional goals. And I think this chart really helps us to see what are the actual priorities, right? Not all of them are important, or are they all urgent? In fact, out of that entire list, only one or two of them listed were something that I had to do right then and there. The rest could be scheduled, delegated, or even deleted. And that's a really important distinction, because as you're managing the possibility of burnout, understanding and managing these types of priorities is super essential. What are the things that truly need your attention? Are they urgent? Are they important? And do they need your attention now? When we identify those nuances, it allows us to manage the most important resource that we have. And that's because this resource is something we never have enough of. And that's time. Next slide, please. Thank you. Well, it seems pretty straightforward. Time management can truly make the difference between feeling overwhelmed or feeling accomplished. How we manage not only our events and lifestyle commitments, but our jobs, relationships, and vanilla lives really impact our ability to enjoy a life and to appreciate the service we provide to others. Without that balance between life and service, we often become drained, agitated, and run down. Burnout becomes imminent. So, determining not only how to manage time, but how to manage burnout as well becomes essential to everyone, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed. The idea is to become more thoughtful and deliberate about what and where we put our energy so that we can find balance in our lives and in our service. So, let's talk some practical tips on time management. Next slide, please. So that's where a really good schedule comes in handy. And you can start with building a schedule around the most urgent and important priorities so that you can determine when and how to either delegate or to find time to do it. Because honestly, the power of schedule management is real, my friend. And I certainly could give you lots of ideas for apps to manage your schedule, and we could talk about that after class, of course. But honestly, it won't do you any good if you haven't mastered the strange yet beautifully necessary concept with a schedule. And that is to actually do it, to make the schedule. It seems obvious, but sitting down, or sometimes in my case, standing up, and creating a schedule that you can live with is still something that many adults struggle with. Notice that I didn't say a schedule that you can stick to, because a schedule is a living, breathing, and changing mechanism. In fact, schedules do and should change all the time. The trick is to create the schedule so that it works for you. You want to be able to manage, massage, or manipulate it. For example, next slide, please. Let's take a look at this sample. This is a school timetable of how helpful just having a schedule can be in managing. So, in looking at the schedule, it's clear the parts of time this person is free, right? Just by looking at it, we can see some clear availability. We can sort of assess when this person can do what's required, what the schedule looks like, and sort of see the gaps of time that really open up, right? Next slide, please. Now, what happens if it's gone or doesn't exist? Can you tell me when this person would have 2 or 3 hours of uninterrupted time to work on a presentation, or 45 minutes to go to a doctor's appointment, or run an errand for a kid? Which days? What time? How many opportunities are there, right, for undisturbed blocks of time? Don't know? Can't tell me just from looking at this? Hell, I can't tell you either. Unless you have a photographic memory, it's almost impossible to find time for yourself and your priorities if you don't know what time you actually have. That's where a schedule comes in handy. So let's try this again. Can I please have next slide, please? Okay, now let's take a look. Now, are we able to find 2 hours of uninterrupted time to complete a task? Right? Are there multiple days? Do we have 45 minutes to go to the doctor? Are we able to sort of schedule some dinner meetings or even time to work on a presentation? Well, yes, there are. Just by having the schedule, we can visibly see our time planned out and where there is time and space and gaps available. And finding time in your life is no different if you have a schedule. Besides knowing what you're doing and when you're doing it, a schedule also helps with, next slide, please, assessment. Oftentimes, we make the schedule and all of life's little gifts have not yet been delivered yet. So we have this luxury of being able to truly be thoughtful about the things that matter, which is a gift if you think about it. We have time, the time we need to assess. Most problems actually don't give you time to assess and plan for them. So, what a luxury it is to have the ability to plan, to actually assess before you commit to something. I know, I know, life happens and we need to adjust, we need to add something to our plate, but that's a little hard to do if we don't actually know what's on the plate or how much is piling up. But looking at a schedule can provide an easy mechanism for understanding and assessment. Assessment will allow you to determine which items still need to be actioned today, this week, or even this month. Assessment can help determine what can be grouped together to increase productivity as well as to determine which days offer the most advantage. When you assess, you can move or change your schedule so that you are able to identify and balance needs more efficiently. And while things absolutely do change rapidly, seeing what is available becomes even more important. So you may actually assess and realize nothing needs or will change. That is incredibly powerful to know that you don't have to make any changes. Everything is good the way it is. What a load off that can be. But when changes do and must occur, having something to look at so that you can quickly pivot or update is very important. This is also an opportunity to serve your own needs if you plan to manipulate or massage your schedule as needed. After all, who doesn't love a good massaging? Next slide, please. Thank you. So I know what some of you may be saying. Massage? Manipulate? A schedule? What is she talking about? Well, to manipulate or massage your schedule is to really manage your schedule in ways that allow for you to shift or flex with little to no additional update or effort from you. So take a look at some of these tips to understand sort of ideas on how to manipulate or massage a schedule. One of my favorite tips is the second one: group similar tasks together. I find that I'm far more productive and effective if I work on similar tasks during the same period, especially things like working out or yard work. I'm going to get hot, sweaty, and sometimes dirty, and not in the fun way. So it's best to do them during the same period and not mix them with a date night or work activities or something that's not going to be as physical. Or number eight, anyone who has ever been in a meeting with me knows I like a good agenda for my calls. And it's really because I'm super chatty and I'm old. So I tend to forget what I'm supposed to be talking about most of the time. So I have to manage myself just as much as I have to manage my time. Or even number four, probably one of my favorite tips and something I've been doing for years, and that is time blocking. So my calendar includes a weekly Jane Day. Jane Days were created to block time and give myself a scheduled break in the week, a thoughtful way to schedule time for myself and to provide a much needed respite midweek. This is actually also a form of manipulation or massaging of schedule because, in all honesty, every day really should be a Jane Day, which includes some personal time for some self care and some reflection. But the truth is that I don't always have time for that every day. So I really have to make a concerted effort to plan a me day weekly. Sometimes it's 2 days if I need it. Either way, that is a buffer for me, not to be repurposed for work obligations or organizational issues, but to be purposeful about my own self care needs for that day. So when I have a priority of a massage, but I have to schedule it within a week or 3 days, perfect. I've got a day for that. Or when I realize I haven't worked out all week, or I need to clean my bedroom or clean my car, great. My Jane Day this week will offer self care in the form of cleaning or exercise. Either way, that is scheduled time so I can give my body, my mind self care because that should and can be scheduled just like any other appointment. We schedule our doctor's appointments, our dentist appointments, our dates, and our play parties. Why don't we schedule dates for or with ourselves? After all, I mean, I'm pretty good company and I'm worth it. We all are, in fact. The point is that I can literally schedule time or create time for myself in the form of a planned or scheduled event. Whether it's get the car fixed or pay the mortgage, these items can be made into an event on my calendar to ensure that they're actioned and that I have an appropriate amount of time allocated so I actually know how much time I have to work with in the rest of my day. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me check in. Are there any questions on that or how to massage or manipulate your schedule?
Feel free to post any questions or comments in the chat, and we'll put them on screen.
Okay, perfect. Moving on, and we can feel free to check in with some questions later on as well. And I think the next thing, a schedule. Oh, I'll elaborate a little bit more on 6, please. What does that look like? Um, yes. So as I mentioned just a minute ago, schedule action items during small time blocks on your calendar. For, as I mentioned, like pay the mortgage, right? Like, so paying your mortgage probably will take you no more than 5 or 10 minutes, but actually scheduling that time out in your calendar in those small little time blocks really allows you to see where you're spending your time, what you need to be doing in your day. So thinking about things like that, really important matters that need to be actioned, putting it on your calendar, on your schedule is incredibly important. And I'll talk about that in a minute why, but you really need want to fill up those little small time blocks with some of those pieces so that you can, one, do some time blocking, doing those same activities in the same period of time, but also it allows you to see how many actions need to be action for the day, for the week, for the month, what have you. So if you need to move and assess and change things around, you actually can because you can see it. So hopefully that answers your question. Any other questions? Okay, perfect. So next slide, please. Perfect. So now imagine if your schedule is filled up, like we talked about, those little blocks of time are filled up. I mean, they're filled up with pay the mortgage, get the car fixed, wash the car, clean, exercise, all the things, right? Completely filled up with no capacity for any additions. What then? How do you manage the task if you can't actually complete it? Well, I think that's the importance of using your schedule, right? The schedule can really show you, I mean, spell it out that you are done. You ain't got no more room. It's time to delegate. And so seeing a fully filled schedule is a great wake up call for yourself and a great signal that you have really taken on too much and it's time for some support and some backup. Even for us overachievers, we cannot deny logic, time, or space. Sadly, I know I have tried. And honestly, that's when burnout can become imminent. If you can't see rest or a break in sight, if there's no end to your busy schedule, then that can be extremely daunting. So, one of the best actions to take is to do nothing. That's right, capacity is a thing. Again, a schedule is not something just to action. A schedule also provides information to let you know that there is no action to be taken and it's time to delegate. And the best way to do that is if you see those actions on your calendar, you can say, which items can I move? Which items can I get off my desk? What can I move? What needs to be delegated or deleted, right? So, this is a great opportunity to give yourself permission to really enjoy your life and all of the fruits of the labor that you've been creating for yourself. So, let's explore how to delegate with compassion because I know a lot of control freaks are freaking out, and there's no judgment. I'm also a control freak as well. But there's actually some power and even a little control to delegation if it's done intentionally. So, the first thing first is you really want to assess what needs to be done. What's the deliverable here, right? And then find the right person for the task. This is where availability, ability meet, get married, and have a beautiful, competent baby. Yay, competence. And after we do that, we will share not only the responsibilities, but also our confidence in them as well. That's really important. I mean, you picked this person for a reason, so let them know that as well. Make sure that you ask them questions so that they feel comfortable with the request, and then also be open to their questions as well. You may also want to consider creating a consistent checkpoint for them, especially if it's a long term project, or at least give them a way of at least checking in, even if they're not checking in with you. The point is to get them to provide you with a commitment of the time that they intend to have it completed. But you really want to make sure that it's not right up against your own deadline, or it may not be a good fit for the job. You really want to just make sure that you're recognizing the value that it has and affirm the value that it has to you so that that person understands its importance. Once the task is complete, thank them and show appreciation so that you both feel good and the engagement and the exchange. Hopefully, It will allow you both to be willing to come back to the space with equity and support for the future. And that's really important when managing burnout because many times it's not that we are actually required or even need to do this thing, the thing that we think is so freaking important. In reality, this thing, whatever it is, will not be the last thing I think about on my deathbed. It won't be, did that presenter ever get registered? Or, damn, I missed out on that 50 cent off of the breakfast burrito in 2024. It really will, hopefully, be focused on thoughts of my chosen family and friends, which is why support is so necessary. This also means that we have to be extremely mindful of the things that give us joy. Focusing on those things helps to align priorities, responsibilities, urgency, and importance. Do these things truly matter to me now, for the future? Because it's totally okay if they don't. In fact, it's great when they don't because it gives you another very powerful tool that's often overlooked, and that is the word no. Next slide, please. No, a simple yet oh so very powerful word. A word that many service oriented folks fear and avoid at all costs. But I want to make sure that we understand what the word no really is. The word no is really and truly, in the most simplistic form, information. No provides information, whether it's a confirmation of something we already are aware of or a declination of a desire. No is information for the receiver. It's actually what they're looking for. For example, can I have some ice cream? No. Ice cream's not available, will not be consumed at this time. For God's sakes, you're teaching class, Jane. No ice cream. Information. Or, can I have a kiss? No. Okay, now I know I do not have consent to kiss this person. That is information. It does not actually have to equate to rejection. In fact, there are many reasons a person could be saying no to a kiss that has nothing to do with me or the idea of rejection, but has everything to do with boundaries, limits, or even their own bandwidth. And telling me no is no different. When someone asks for permission or a favor or has a request, whether related to your organization or your own personal interactions, please remember that they are asking for information, not your approval. And information is power. In fact, no provides just as much value as a yes, especially when it sets healthy boundaries for you and the requester. One of my favorite quotes is teach people how to treat you. And that's a way of communicating a method of helping folks to engage with you in the best way possible through active modeling and communication. Saying no creates that healthy boundary, not just for yourself, but also provides requested information. Now the requester knows what will and will not align to your personal boundaries, limits, priorities, or schedule, which is super helpful if they want consistent or long term assistance. Or even if it's a one time only request, it still creates a pattern that the requester can rely on for the future. This is information that the requester can use again in the future, not just for you, but for others as well. Maybe it'll help improve their approach or find ways to make the request more enticing. But that can't happen without the information because information, what? Makes your life easier, which is the goal here, to find ways to reduce stress, increase productivity, and happiness in your way of life. So allow no to do that work for you. It's really amazing how freeing it can be to say no. So practice your no. And that's the best way to become better at something is to practice it. And you can certainly start slow by saying it to yourself in a mirror as you rehearse a potential encounter with someone, or practice it with small requests that won't impact urgency or priority of a task. Either way, if saying no is a challenge for you, practice saying it with confidence so that you can replicate it if and when you need it. Next slide, please. And you could even try to reframe the thinking. so that you know you're actually providing power with the information you're delivering. For example, if someone asks me to volunteer or to teach and I'm not available, they may be disappointed, but it's nevertheless good information for them. Now they can find another volunteer or presenter to make arrangements with someone who may have the bandwidth, time, or even interest to engage in the same way they're requesting, which is amazing because you gave them that information so that they can find the resource. Huzzah! So the no can be successfully reframed every single time. But it can't happen if you say yes, then begrudgingly show up knowing that you either don't want to or didn't have the spoons to. Was that truly helpful if you couldn't show up in the way you want to? No, no, it's not. And that is information for you to keep in mind as you begin to prioritize and understand how to manage not only your schedule, but your no as well. So give them the information and give yourself a break. I know that the fear of missing out can be real, but I also really want to make sure I stress this point in particular. Don't forget about the real possibility of missing out on your own needs and desires being served if you're too busy serving others. You want to make sure that you actually have something lovely and beautiful that serves you in ways that feels good to you too. And the best person to provide that is you. So let's discuss some great ways to say no. Next slide, please. So, first way is obvious, no. Simple yet very effective. Or you can even say, that won't work for me, so no. But if you want to be a little bit more gentler, you can try, I appreciate the offer, but no. Or it sounds like a great opportunity, just not for me. I'll send other people your way that might be interested. I happen to love a really good pivot, so that's a really great way to pivot the discussion. You can also try, I would, but I don't want to, so no. Or, I can see why you asked me, but the answer is no. Or, that doesn't align to the type of service that I'm looking for. Thank you very much. Or you can even try it in a very creepy voice. No thanks, that's not my thing. Bah! That will definitely let people know where you stand on the issue. And my personal favorite is, nah, I don't want to. The idea is to leave no ambiguity or room for the other person to retort or wiggle a yes out of you. So being clear and simple is always the best. Notice that none of these come with a reason or justification other than, I don't want to. And that's because no does not need a justification. It's a complete sentence, and it really does. I really like to stress when I don't want to do something so that it's clear. I don't want to. And for slaves and submissives, this actually is really no different. Unless you're talking to someone that you have a negotiated power dynamic with and they're your left sider. Otherwise, your wants, your wishes, your no is just as valid and should be honored and respected by all. I know that we all like to say yes. It's certainly affirming. Sometimes it feels good to please someone, especially when you value them. But honestly, I don't think of no as a bad word. I mean, we associate a lot of negativity to it when it really just provides us with a lot of information. And those you value should and actually will value you more if you're honest with them, especially when it comes to your commitments and your own personal boundaries and needs. No is a form of honest communication that should and must be honored. Even I don't wanna is valid. And it's important that we begin to share that level of honesty, not just with those we value, but those that need the information as well. As an event organizer and as a master, I want to understand not only where my own limits are, but I want to understand the limits of those I'm working with as well, so that I can be respectful of those limits. Next slide, please. Because ultimately, this is about finding balance and support in our lives and with our organizations, as I mentioned. And balance looks like a lot of different things to different people, but balance does not include codependency. And it's important to understand that codependency doesn't just exist between people, it can also exist between a person and the organization they serve or support as well. As a reminder, codependency occurs when there is an excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a person or organization to the point where feelings, desires, and even needs are inappropriately focused on the depender. Sound familiar? Is your organization inappropriately reliant on one or more people, so much so that their feelings and needs are secondary to that of the organization? You know those people. Hell, you may even be those people. I think that's the point. Service to an organization can absolutely be similar to service to an individual. It can either be healthy and good for both the person serving and the organization, or it can be unhealthy and toxic. And that's what we really want to avoid in any relationship or dynamic. So, here are just a few reminders to avoid some of that toxic organizational burnout that some folks may experience. So, just remember, you are not your organization. What feeds it won't always feed us. So, please be mindful of that. Also, the organization is responsible for serving you just as you serve it. Give and take in healthy forms is truly important when you're serving. Just like the organization needs a break, so do you. Because just remember, the organization is capable and powerful, just like you are capable and powerful. However, your power is not reliant on the organization. Similarly, the organization's power is not reliant on you. You cannot be the fuel of the organization. And more importantly, you can burn out, and the organization and you can still survive. Wait, burnout? Yep, I said it. In fact, planning for burnout not only will serve you and your organization, but may even save you both. Next slide, please. Most people tend to look at burnout as a failure. But as indicated from the title of my class, I really look at burnout like a phoenix. Burnout can be a signal for rest, peace, and for more passion in one's life. And burnout is not a reflection of failure in any way. I've had to come to that realization many times before, but that's really because that is how I recovered from burnout many years ago. Probably about 5 or 6 years into my leather journey, I had major burnout, not just from community engagement, but from community friends, drama, and, well, life. I was also going through a divorce, becoming a single parent. My ex husband was an alcoholic. I was working 2 jobs and moving out on my own. It was a nightmare. I was stressed, overwhelmed, and honestly, terrified. I burned out like that in a flash, with no hope of re engaging or relighting the passion or fire inside of me. It was almost 2 years before I fully re engaged the community again, with the support of good friends and a very good slave. But it was a slow and very tender process, with a lot of fear trying to find my footing while trying to determine what and how to find my own balance again. It wasn't until much later, as my life began to swell and build again, that I felt that old smoldering feeling again, feeling overwhelmed, stressed, anxious, agitated. At the time, I was headed for surgery. So I did what any master would do when they know they're going to be laid up for weeks. I planned for it. I planned for the time that I wasn't going to be able to move, how I was going to care for my submissive and my slave, how I was going to care for my organizations, and how I was going to care for my child in my home. I planned. And in that planning came hope, excitement, and a much needed break. I realized that I could actually take a break. I could plan to take a break from all of life's responsibilities, to schedule the break before it became a total and complete meltdown. It was amazing. I learned that planning a break can actually prevent burnout. And I'm talking long vacations. And when I say vacation, I mean vacation. No community, no organization, no priorities, and no responsibilities. I get that we can't all do that for a full year or a month or a week, but you've got to think about planning that for yourself. Absolutely. So taking a break doesn't have to be an expensive vacation, although if you have the means, my friend, totally valid. But it does actually need to be your best way to unload or offload responsibilities that you may be shouldering. And I do mean all. There needs to be days where it's totally okay for the biggest decision of the day to be what time you're going to brush your teeth or to eat your meal. And it's totally okay for your brain to take a break from doing math that day, right? Even my slave gets planned days off. Yes, 24/7 dynamics need a respite, just like any relationship does. So, why doesn't your relationship with yourself deserve its own time for reflection and connection? The truth is that it does. And even a burnout can offer the time and reflection you need. So, don't be afraid to burn, baby, burn. Just plan for it. So, some advantages to planning a burnout, because there actually are some advantages to burning out, is time. You get a lot of time back. It's amazing how much time you get back when you don't give a fuck. It's crazy. The next thing is that I find that people tend to leave you alone when they know that you are burnt out or that you are about to be burnt out, right? They tend to not bring you any nonsense or any BS, no shenanigans, because they know any moment you might blow, right? The other thing I think it provides is validation, affirmation. Finally, someone's listening to you. And it's the most important person. It's you. So giving yourself a break, that burnout really helps to provide new perspective and understanding because you're more aware of the bigger picture. You let that small stuff go, which really helps to better assess boundaries for future needs, right? Because you're more aware of your limits. You're more familiar with your boundaries because burnout has already come and gone. You'll also learn how to recover because you can and will recover from burnout. In fact, I find that you can rise better and stronger than before, but only if you plan and prepare for a healthy burnout. For example, next slide, please. My last burnout took place last year, May and June of 2023. As mentioned, I recently relocated to California after living in Atlanta for almost 25 years. It was a tremendous move, extremely challenging, and it required my slave to quit his job, for us to sell like almost all of our furniture, give up our entire social support system in Atlanta, as well as the local community there as well. Add to that, my daughter was turning 18, graduating from high school, all at the same time. And also, I had some medical issues too that arose, which made burnout all coming on the horizon pretty quickly. So, in December 2022, as things are starting to unfold, I'm looking at my schedule, I'm seeing how 2023 is going to go. I decided to allow myself to plan for burnout, meaning I was going to work really hard to plan and schedule everything I need to be done so that I can actually take a break, burn out, and rise rested and refueled like a phoenix rising from the ashes. So I booked a month-long trip to Puerto Rico for my slave and I. We planned, scheduled, worked our fucking asses off to the point that we were both crying and fighting the urge to just say, forget it and stay in Georgia. But the thing that kept us going was knowing that a month in Puerto Rico was waiting for us. A vacation, a paradise, a dream would await us. Once we were done with this nightmare of responsibility, headache, loss, and a ton of work, it would and did require us both to burn out, but we survived. And it worked. By the second day of our trip in Puerto Rico, my slave was actually ready to move there and forget the mere mention of Atlanta. There were days where we didn't even bother to go on the internet or even check email. There were days that I not only did I forget about the community, I didn't even care if I was a part of it. No one was looking for me. No one needed me because I planned to go missing. I was on an island of joy, happiness, and passion. My slave and I loved the island paradise. We went to a different beach every day and loved it. And when it was time to come back, we were loath to do so, but we felt more fortified than ever for the next step in our journey. My slave, rejuvenated, found an even better job in California after a much needed summer long break traveling across country together. The point is that we were stronger after the experience, stronger with the knowledge that we survived and we were able to bask in the sun and thrive. It was one of the best experiences of my life, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And honestly, that's what this comes down to is your passion for life. What gives you joy and will keep you coming back to this for more service, more love, more community, whatever it is. You have to feel nourished from the things you are doing. Next slide, please. Because this is ultimately going to come down to what feeds your soul. Your job pays your bills, but what do the other activities fulfill in you? What are the emotional or mental bills that are being paid or accumulated when you put your energy into these spaces? When and how are you paid? What is the cost of your service? We often scrutinize the motives of leaders or event organizers that serve. We expect them to have these altruistic reasons for serving, like we should all be fed by the same reasons, or we should all be fed by service alone. A noble idea indeed, but the truth is that that is just not sustainable. We, all of us, have to be nourished in order to serve. The service alone, especially when scrutinized by others, will not be enough to sustain, balance, or support your growing and evolving needs. We may all of us start off with the mission of selfless service, but with years and tons of battle scars, our needs and desires change and grow. As we learn and evolve, those needs change, and what fuels and sustains us will not be the same as it was before, or even what it is for the organization. So it's important to be mindful of that shift in currency and what your currency is now. Because no one, and I mean no one, gets to decide your currency or the price you will pay for delivering that service. Only you know the cost that it will take on you, your service, and on your passion. You and you alone have the right to set its value. Without passion in life and in our service, rising from burnout is harder and takes longer to get that fire back. There may only be ash and the shedding of that ash. And that's okay because passion isn't guaranteed, but it is necessary fuel to rise brightly like the phoenix from an ash. Next slide, please. And rising from burnout can definitely be like rising from ashes like a phoenix if you plan for it. I hope we all get the phoenix metaphor. Hopefully that makes sense. For those who may not know, a phoenix is an immortal bird that cyclically regenerates or is otherwise born again. While it's a part of Greek mythology, it also dates and intertwines into other religious backgrounds such as Egyptian and Persian cultures. And it's typically associated with the sun, but the phoenix obtains its life by rising from the ashes of its predecessor. Its rebirth is associated with regeneration, strength, power, and passion. And remember that there doesn't have to be passion for service or even for the organization after burnout. Maybe that's dead after burnout. But to find that burn for yourself, to fuel your own desires, you do need passion and an appreciation for your own life and needs. That's the rebirth. And it's a good fresh start, which can help to avoid the codependency trap and allow us to focus on ourselves in order to soar. Because the goal is to rise from healthy burnout, stronger, fortified in your foundation, and ready to soar on your own terms. That feeling and strength can be taken with you as you soar. So think about the opportunity that burnout can actually provide and how you want to rise from it again. Next slide, please. So the first step in a rise is a reset, a reset. A reset will look differently for everyone as we all have different needs, especially after a burnout. But there's some sort of universal needs that really help for a reset for everyone, including rest, reflection, and self care. Remember, self care can include the rest and reflection As well as don't be afraid to think about love languages as well. We forget that we can actually incorporate our love languages to show love and care for ourselves as well. So don't forget to determine what that will look like for you and to create a structure so that you're feeling nourished and recharged in your reset so that you can rise again. Next slide, please. So when you reset and you're ready to sort of rise, here's some sort of tips to fortify the next rise. The first one, and I talked about this as well, is plan a you day weekly, please. Slap it in your calendar, create it like an event that you're making similar to what you would do with your best friend, or if you have a hot date, you put it on your calendar, right? Which goes with scheduling your time, right? Creating a schedule really does make the difference between feeling accomplished or overwhelmed. So make sure you're massaging that calendar to ensure that you're scheduling events together, time blocking, offering some nourishment and enrichment with your passion. In fact, as I mentioned, incorporate your love languages for yourself. What makes you feel relaxed? Is it physical touch, quality time, acts of service for yourself? I happen to love baths, beaches, and bitches. So I really like to incorporate those things into weekly love languages for myself. So ask yourself, what are your passions? Find ways to incorporate them weekly or even daily into events on your schedule. Don't forget to think about creating a creative day or a date for yourself. This is a day that can be dedicated to yourself, your partners, or even your organization. These are opportunities to stretch your creative muscles and find inspirations for yourself, your family, or your organization. I love to buy self care books or workbooks that give me ideas for encouragement. A good book is an artist way. It even comes with a little workbook that gives you ideas on ways to be more creative with yourself. I go to like little Five Below or Dollar Store and I buy these little self care planners. I'm kind of like obsessed with. I have quite a few of them. I like this quite a bit, and I'll share with you one of the passages, and you'll start to understand why I like these so much. So this one is called "Rely on Your Higher Self." The spark of the divine dwells within you, your higher self. Therein is your power to manifest whatever you desire for your life, keeping something out or drawing something in. Remember and recite this affirmation. All I need is right here with me. Or this one I really like a lot. For the mind. A busy mind thwarts focus. If racing thoughts drive your stress levels higher, limit that mental activity through breath work. Let your belly rise as you inhale to the count of 3. Let it fall to the count of 7 as you exhale. Your deepest need each day is to limit outward pursuits and dive inward. Which task can you move to the next day for a reprieve from work and family obligations? Enter solitude. Feel welcomed by your spirit. Commune, refresh, recharge. Right? A little woo woo for sure, but that's what we need, right? When we're rising from burnout, is a little woo woo to remind us to say yes to ourselves, right? Saying yes to ourselves is so important, but don't forget to flex that no muscle to others as well so that you can really be thoughtful in your yes when you truly want to be. So practice it. Rehearse it if you want to be more comfortable with saying no to opportunities because creating limits for yourself is truly important. Also, communicate that you are rising from burnout. This will give others an appreciation of the journey that you are on. I find, as I mentioned, people tend to respect that space if they know you need it. So communicate it. I'm about to burn out, so pick your request wisely. Or I am coming back from burnout, so I don't know if I'm the right person you want to be asking questions to. It's likely once people know that you are struggling or challenged by burnout, that they will not ask you for anything. So it's important to sort of maintain the space as much as you want, right? As you are burning, coming from burnouts, you're still red hot. People could get burned if they get too close. So give yourself some permission to go slow. Really take things slow and easy and let those small things go. I look at the small things as like ashes. They're just sort of floating away and they don't need my priority or my focus. I really want to set limits on my endurance, right? Paying close attention to the signals that my body and my mind's giving me, especially when I'm doing a task, right? Accept that your body and your mind know when it's reached its limit. Accept that limit for your whole self so that you can actually determine what items are actually urgent and important and not driven by others' desires or needs. And that is best accomplished by limiting and reducing contact with people who are looking to steal time from you, want to fight or squabble, want to drain you of your resources. Instead, focus on what you can conquer from within, and then surround yourself with individuals who want that same type of peace that you were seeking. Also, as I mentioned, find a reset for yourself. Create a reset. You can either do this on a monthly basis or a weekly basis. This is not just for burnout. A reset can help create a really good habit for yourself of starting to begin new and fresh every single week. Because now that you've risen, you know exactly what you need to start again. So create that monthly or weekly reset so that you can help to stay nourished. And don't forget, plan for your next burnout. Having an insight can be extremely helpful, especially if you know it's coming. You can plan for your island paradise or make one for yourself, but only if you plan for it. Next slide, please. Because planning is a leader's best friend. Remember, planning ain't just for your organization. You deserve planning too. One of my favorite quotes comes from the movie 50 Shades of Black, and it's, I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man. And I love this quote, and I have it up here as a reminder to us all. You are the business, and maintaining you is the highest priority there is. When people speak about the business or the organization, don't forget that includes you too. Not instead of, not in place of, you are included as well. And if you're not feeling included or equally represented, you will find it challenging to sustain the passion and to find the flame that fuels your passion and gives you energy to light the skies and to begin new and strong again. So, we've all experienced this before in one form or another, right? If there's no excitement, no energy, no regeneration, then there really is no soar, no flame. We lose that burning desire, which is really necessary for passion and life to flourish. So be kind to yourself and bask in the beauty that comes with the flames of burnout. There's nothing more freeing than knowing that you can rise stronger and better than ever from every experience that comes your way. With that, I will leave you with my favorite quote from Maya Angelou. We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty. So please remember, don't stop imagining, evolving, maintaining the light within you. It will continue to change and grow and evolve if you allow yourself to rise from the ashes like a phoenix. Thank you all for your time and consideration. Are there any questions, comments, offers?
Thank you, Master PlaineJane, for an amazing presentation. That was really good. And as leaders, I know a lot of us recognized ourselves in the burnout piece. And, the tips that you gave us specifically for that was something that I was writing and scribbling away furiously at. I'm just trying to see when I can take a month off to go to Puerto Rico.
I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. You don't have to take a month, but a week. I love to schedule, like after LLC, most people don't know, but I usually take a vacation. I get away for at least a week because it drains so much of your energy. So I plan
Yes.
for that ahead of time. I know you're very good about taking some time to yourself as well.
Oh, definitely. And that's why when people are like, hey, I heard you was going to be in San Francisco. Can I tag along? I'm like, absolutely not. Or here's the thing. You can tag along in your own hotel room. Because no.
I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to see you. I don't want to know nobody, especially since, people ask me questions, they'll want me to engage and they'll make expectations. So I want to get away. I want to go far away. I don't want nobody asking no questions. I plan for it. Don't look for me. I cannot be. I don't think you all even looked for me in May of last year. I think we were all like,
no, we were all, everyone was just like, yeah, no, I'm good.
So burnout absolutely should be planned for. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with just taking some time to yourself.
Are there any questions from the audience? If not, we have a little trivia contest, and the winner. So how are we going to do this? We're giving away one ticket, right?
Yes. So this is how it works.
Okay.
You can win a free ticket to the LLC 2025 if you answer the trivia questions correctly. So please buzz in with the correct answers. I'm going to field them, Dominion, so that you can ask them. I'll field the questions or field the answers.
Oh, I just created a whole trivia thing.
Oh, okay. Well, then no, then please see delegation. It's beautiful.
Look at that. Look at that.
Right. So the only key, though, is if you're not able to attend the LLC next year, then please don't buzz in and rob someone else of the opportunity to attend. We want to make sure that folks that are actually able to attend have this opportunity. So if you're interested in attending in LA next year for the LLC, please buzz in. We got some trivia for you to win.
So is it the person that gets the most answers right then?
I think so.
All right. So I have, how many do I have? Let's see, what is this? 5, 10, 15. So I have 8 questions.
Perfect. Let's do 9. That we got a tiebreaker, right?
All right. Well, all right, great. And then you've got the 9th question. So I've got 8.
I gotta come up with a question.
Well, let's do my 8 in case they're the same ones that
I'm
you
here
have.
for it. Yes, you got it.
So let me stop sharing that. I can remove that.
I got your 9th question. I got you.
Okay, perfect. All right, so remember, as we get started here, the idea is that we're going to ask 9 questions, and we're going to be taking count of who answers the question. And if you win, you theoretically have a free ticket to LLC. Once you show us your confirmation that shows that you have booked a hotel room for the event. Because it's no surprise if you've hosted an event. When you put on a conference, you are in the business of selling hotel rooms. So this ain't a secret. I mean, but stop the lie, though.
You cannot.
All right, so hold on. Let me get a little graph going here. And then questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Then I'm going to put the names down, and then we're going to go forward. All right. So first question. When was LLC founded? Feel free to buzz in by typing your answer in the chat room.
I've tried for 4 years and there's nothing I can do about him. I'm sorry.
Master Cecil, that is wrong.
Oh, you should know better, Master Cecil.
This is awkward for Master Cecil. But good try, though. So good try.
I will give folks a hint. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary last year.
Actually, that's not even the answer that I'm looking for.
It's not. That was actually a trick question, but you know.
Very good. Margie and Steve got the correct answer, 1997.
Woo-hoo. Way to go.
I'm writing your name down, and you've got a point there. All right. The correct answer is 1997. LLC was officially founded in 1997. Next question. Name the first city where LLC was held.
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a very good question. Okay, I'm here for this.
Boom, boom. All right. So the first city where LLC was held. I'm sorry, J. Carey Wolf. That is the wrong answer. But Damiana, sorry, I put in Damiana. Damiana actually got first with New York City.
In New York.
So that's Damiana. Has 1 point there, and Margie and Steve have 2 points. And Karen, we'll take all of the correct answers.
Yes, yeah,
This is a
let's
race.
take all them good answers. All them good answers. You can't put the answer in after we didn't give it in though.
All right, so sweet. All right, so Sweet Lou, that doesn't. That was way after what it is. All right, so thank you, Elaine. If we aren't ever in Columbus, we will definitely check you out. And thank you for joining. We super appreciate it. And this is the first of we've heard the concerns. People say, "Hey, I can't always make it to the city. We want more education." So we hear you. So we're doing these sorts of things. So look out for more of this in the future. All right, so far, we have Margie and Steve with 2 points, and Damiana and Karen with 1 point each.
I like it.
Next question. When was LLC incorporated? So, John Hawk got us the first answer. Thank you, John. That was 1999.
J. Corey Wolf came through first.
Oh, I'm sorry, J. Sorry, let me get you right. J. Corey Wolf got question 3 right.
Three correct answers. 3. M. Dizzy got it too, as well as John
Hawk.
Corey, thank you, Corey.
I see. And M. Dizzy, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got 3. Correct answer, 1999. All righty. Next question. Other than New York City, name one city where LLC has been held in the past.
This is easy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So after Margie and Steve, we will not be accepting answers. So the correct answers are San Francisco, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles. Now, there may well be other cities. So if you can prove another city, but those are the ones that I am aware of. I'm not aware. I'm almost certain. I know it was not in New Orleans.
No.
Okay. So let's start at the top. So M. Dizzy got us with Atlanta. This is question 4. Let's see. Damiana.
Mm-hmm.
J. Corey.
Or Corey, just Corey.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Master Cecil.
Yo. John Hawk got it as well.
Got it.
Cyborg 44 got it. And then Margie and Steve own it. They own it.
All right. So far, Margie and Steve are in the lead. Right on their heels are Damiana, J. Corey, or just Corey, John Hawk, M. Dizzy, Cecil, or Master Cecil, and sorry, Master Cecil and Cyborg just have 1 apiece. All right. So next question. Who was the most recent chair of the Leather Leadership Conference?
But before
not you.
Okay, good. Okay.
The person before you.
There we go. That
Sorry,
person.
who was the person? Who was the chair of Leather Leadership Conference before Master PlaineJane?
I know.
All righty, Cecil. I was say Cecil. If you didn't get that one, we was about to have a real issue with you. So, all right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So the correct answers were given by Master Cecil and Cyborg.
Yeah.
Just for giggles, so that you see it on. Oops, sorry.
If you don't know Master Vote, you better get your life right. He's amazing.
Right.
He's amazing.
All right. Next question. Name LLC 2024's closing speaker.
Closing keynote speaker.
Keynote speaker.
There you go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I adore it.
So we got no correct answers on that one.
Master Caesar, how you don't know that one either? Come on, gasp.
The correct answer, LLC's 2024. Well, you
was
too late, sir.
Master Caesar, you are right, but you
that is right, but it was too late.
You late, baby.
Well, I'm sorry. Why do I still have 2010 up there on the screen? My bad. All right. So, next question. Name a vendor from LLC 2023.
Dang, you get hard.
12 seconds. 12, 11, 10, 9,
Cecil,
8,
you got this. Come on, Cecil.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That was a hard one.
That was a hard one.
I feel like M. Dizzy.
I'm gonna let M. Dizzy slide with that.
Yes, I think that's a good
I'm gonna give M. Dizzy
a good one. Actually, yes. And they got them right. The last 4 got them. I think.
All right, so we'll let those slide. So no more answers after Margie and Steve. So yeah. Margie and Steve got a point there. Master Cecil got a point, and Damiana got a point.
Did you see M. Dizzy as well?
Yeah, I got M. Dizzy.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so
good job, guys.
The answer, including Devin Stone, Addison's Jewelry and Designs, The Beeve, Dungeon Outfitters, Fantasies and Leather, Vark & Company, Steel Bones Corsetry, and Whipping Stripes.
We love our vendors. We have some great vendors. They are fantastic.
All right. Other than Master PlaineJane and Dominion, name a current board member of the Leather Leadership Conference.
Y'all got this. This is easy. It's easy. Some of your favorite people. Come on.
All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
Master Cecil,
3, 2, 1. I'm sorry, John Hawk. Master Cecil is not currently on the board. Mixter Mita. I will accept Mixter Mita. Was this question 7 or 8? Let me see.
I don't know. And then we got Vari. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. We've got the answers. Yes. So
all right. So the last ones we will accept are Margie and Steve.
Yeah.
All right.
They've got one. Cyborg's
that was the last one that I had. That was question 8 that we're asking. Oh, so perfect. Who do we get? We got Mita. So that was M. Dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
We'll accept Cecil be cheating.
That's okay.
Corey got one.
In LA.
Damiana got one. Let's see who M. Dizzy. I already got M. Dizzy.
Cyborg
Dina and Cyborg.
You got Marge and Steve, right?
I did. So at this point, I don't even know if we need a tiebreaker. Margie and Steve have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Damiana has 4 points. Karen has 1 point. Corey has 3 points. John Hawk has 2. M. Dizzy has 4 points. Cecil has 4 points. And Cyborg has 3 points.
Dang. Steve and Margie, they slayed it.
Congratulations to Margie and Steve.
Margie and Steve, if you will please send Dominion a private message with your email information, and we can coordinate getting your ticket.
Better yet, I'm going to just put my ONYX.
You'll put it in there? Good.
Yeah, I'm just going to put it in the chat.
Everybody message him. If you have a problem or concern,
right,
that's who you send it to.
Yeah, so Margie and Steve, if you send me your contact info, we will get with you about that. That was a good time.
Yeah, good job, guys. Well done.
Hey, if everyone will hold on for a second. Don't go anywhere. PlaineJane, put yourself on mute.
All right.
I'm calling you. All right. We have made an executive decision. Damiana, J. Corey, M. Dizzy, Cecil, Cyborg, and Karen, if you send us proof that you have booked your hotel room for at least 2 nights for the Leather Leadership Conference 2025, you get a free ticket as well. Woo-wee! So my contact info is up there on the screen, dominiononyx@gmail.com. And yes way. So just let us know. We need to see your confirmation for your hotel. And then once you do that, we will process a free ticket for you. Because it's important.
And you get a ticket, and
you get a ticket, and you get a ticket, and you get a ticket. We really do appreciate it. We look forward to seeing all of you at Leather Leadership Conference 2025. We're going to have lots of fun time. I just want to tell you, we talk, everyone remembers. We'll keep this. So Damiana, I'm not suggesting you need to book it right this second, but you have until the conference starts. But let's say you have until January the 1st to book your room. Yes. But send me your contact info right now so that I know that we're reserving a ticket for you. So everybody at least let us know that we're reserving, and then we'll hold the ticket for you, and then it'll be crossed off once you get back to me.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. This has been an absolutely amazing time. I want to say thank you again to Master PlaineJane for a really good and helpful class. This is the kind of thing that you will see at a Leather Leadership Conference, because our conference is about leaders serving leaders. And we've all been burnt out. We've all been asked to do something and had to say no. And even sometimes it's even been like a super close friend, and you're just like, girl, I just cannot. So, this was a really good class. You will be able to find this on our YouTube channel. That's where it will live. Also coming soon will be an LLC knowledge archive that we will be doing some free content, but some will be behind a Patreon wall, because listen, conferences don't put themselves on for free. So thank you all for coming. We look forward to seeing you at LLC. You can reach out to us on any number of platforms. You can find us on Twitter, on Instagram, on FetLife, on Facebook. You can also reach out to any of us. So we look forward to talking to all of you. Thank you all for coming, and good night.
Thank you all.